The contrast between Hebraism and Hellenism reappeared in the Middle Ages in the form of a contrast between voluntarism and intellectualism, or the Dominican thought and the Franciscan thought. The Franciscan thought emphasized on the primacy of will, decision, choice, person, but the other one, which followed the tradition of Greek thought, they emphasized on the primacy of intellect, reason. So human being was considered as rational animal. So the rationality was given exclusive importance by the Greeks, and the same thing is continued also in the Middle Ages through St. Thomas and company, as in the form of intellectualism. Against that one, we have a Franciscan school that emphasizes on the primacy of the will or voluntarism. So it's only a matter of twofold emphasis. So we can find the trend. The Hebraism continued in the form of Franciscan thought or voluntarism. So the same trend is continued, and the flow to the existentialism is come to the Middle Ages. So after having seen the Western trends, especially the Hebraism as against Hellenism, and intellectualism or voluntarism as against intellectualism, we are coming to the sources of existentialism in some thinkers. So we can find some thinkers of the past who have some existential bent of mind, bent of thinking. That is, we are referring to a few of them. So there are some thinkers who can be also traced as the sources of existentialism. We refer first to Socrates. He is a remote source of existentialism insofar as he took an approach of philosophizing different from the ordinary way of approach. He was not giving solutions for the questions. He was asking questions and making people reflect what it means to be free, what it means to be a human being. The answer is there, but people are not thinking. So Socrates took a disturbing style in philosophizing, and that makes him stand out as one of the sources of existential thinkers. Not in the strict sense of the term, but we can find the style of thinking is very much existential, reflective, making people think and make a decision. That is the style he followed in his philosophizing, rather than giving a definition for anything and everything. Another person we refer to is Diogenes. He also belonged to the before Christ. He is not included among the normal philosophers, but then because of the peculiar way of thinking, especially one point that he is known for, or historians refer to him, he seems to have gone around the city of Athens with a lantern lit in the broad daylight, at the daytime, lighting a torch and going around asking the question, I am looking for a man, I am looking for a human being. What is the meaning of that question? That means human being is I have not found, I have yet to find. So no one, we are all human beings. At the same time, we have not yet become. That implicit way of thinking expressed in the action of Diogenes makes him as one of the sources of existentialism, who thinks differently, who does not consider human being as someone who has come about and it is full-fledged. I am looking for a human being. We have to become. So that becoming aspect, we will dwell on that one later. I have to be existing. We'll speak about it later. So that means the becoming aspect. I am looking for a human being. Then we come to Augustine in the New Testament period, and mainly the type of question that he asked, as different from Aristotle. Aristotle asked the question, what is man? And he gave the definition, man is rational animal. But then Augustine asked a different question. But the reference is the same, human being. He asked the question, who am I? What is the difference of these two questions? They are not simply who is changed by what. Who am I means I am reflecting on myself. When I ask the question, what is man? As though I am not a human being. I am just thinking about something over there. Human being. So in existentialism, we don't consider questions over there to be analyzed, to be thought about. Rather, it is a self-reflection. Self-reflection. When I gave the definition for existentialism, I said it speaks about, it refers to the human being. The second point is important. I said at that time, that is, makes people make a decision as to what human being is. It is not enough that I know I am free. I have to make a choice. Here also, it is something that belongs to me. Who am I? How am I living as a human being? Self-reflection. I am not here to sit on the chair and reflect on some questions that are simply intellectually satisfying. It is not so. Rather, I am reflecting on myself, touching me. It is challenging me. I am using the expression in several places. It is a question that challenges me. That is the style followed by Aristotle. The third or the fourth person I am referring is Blaise Pascal. So the title existentialist can be fully given to him. His style was, although existentialism was not born at that period of time in the Middle Ages or in the modern period, but then he was born ahead of the time. His style of thinking was totally different from the people who were thinking at that time. That's why he referred to him as an existentialist in the full sense, not simply because of the use of a few expressions, but his style of thinking was very much existentialist. We refer to a few points. He was living at a period of science. Science was growing, rapidly growing, and especially astronomy. Study of stars, the out of the wider, the cosmos. Astronomy was making rapid progress in science. And in that, so we became aware, otherwise we are a small earth and a few small planets, just one stars. We are thinking we are a center. Now, when we know more about the vastness of the various planets and the various solar systems and so on, then we understand how small little we are. That's why he uses the expression, in the vast and silent space, man finds himself homeless. So vast, beyond imagination. The whole cosmos is so, universe is so vast, and in that vastness of universe, I find myself as homeless. That's the expression. Homeless is typically existentialist. Faith is the only cure for man in this situation of the importance of reason. Again, he comes to faith and reason. And he emphasizes, unlike the Greeks, he speaks about the importance of reason. Reason, the powerlessness of reason. Reason is not that powerful as the Greek thought. But then, if reason is not powerless, if reason is not powerful, there is something that will help. Jesus comes, there comes the faith. Where the reason says no more possible, there begins faith. There begins faith. So faith is the cure, faith is the continuation from the importance of reason, the limitation of reason. And that is also expressed by Pascal at that period of time. And the famous two quotations from Pascal is very important. Everybody quotes him. And what are they? One is not the God of philosophers, but the God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. What does it mean? Not the God of philosophers. What is the God of philosophers? Not a conceptual God. A God reduced to a concept. When you come to Heidegger, I will speak more on that one. God is not a concept, but God is someone who is accompanying me. The meaning of God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob means God who is involved in the human history. God who travels and feels with the human being. God who is alive. A conceptual God is a dead God. It's a concept. Pure act. Aristotle gave the definition for God as pure act. Conceptually good. Are we worshipping a conceptual God of a conceptual God? Or a personal God, a God who is living, a God who is accompanying, a God who is involved in the life, as he did in the case of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. That's the meaning of not a God of philosophers. God of philosophers means not a conceptual God, but a personal God. A God who is accompanying the human being. And that is what he is for. And then also another quotation from him is, the heart has its reason, which reason cannot understand. The heart, he gives primacy for the heart. The heart has its reason, which reason is not able to understand. We cannot give reasons for everything. And that is what the Western mind has been thinking, that the reason can give explanation for anything and everything. Here comes a person who says, the heart has its reason, which is beyond reason. The primacy, the importance and the priority of the heart. Not heart as a part of the body, heart of the core of a human being. That cannot be put along with the reason. It stands out, stands different. Why do we may not be able to give reasons for the way of life that a believer lives? I cannot explain and rationally explain to somebody else by reason. But don't think we have no reason. Reason that is beyond the rational, what is called logical reason. That is why he uses the expression, the heart has its reason. We cannot ask the question, why you decided to marry that particular girl. He is not able to give the rational explanation for that. But then don't think that he has no reason. He has a reason. A reason that tells from within. Therefore, there is something other than the so-called reason, which we have extolled to the great heights. He is questioning that one. There is something more important than the so-called reason. And then he also speaks about the radical contingency of the human. Contingency and limitation, they go more or less similar, but then he speaks about the contingency. We are contingent. Anything can happen. I am so limited. How he explains the contingency, then underlines the importance of the contingent in his thought pattern. He refers to what we consider as unimportant, they are important. He refers to two examples from the history. In order to convey the message only, what we normally think as unimportant, they are important. The importance of the contingent. He refers to the length of the Cleopatra's nose. Cleopatra was the queen of Egypt, and the historians say she was so beautiful, and her length of nose, the nose, were to be slightly longer or shorter, she would not have been so beautiful. That means maybe 1 millimeter, apparently very insignificant, but so important, because the Mark Antony, the Roman commander-in-chief, he came to Egypt. Instead of conquering Cleopatra and Egypt, Mark Antony was conquered by Cleopatra. And that changed the whole history of Roman Empire. So what has changed? Apparently unimportant, the length of the Cleopatra's nose. What we consider as so insignificant. Nothing is insignificant. The new type of thinking, there is nothing, everything is equally important. Nothing is contingent. Everything is important. Even the importance of the contingency. Here gives also another example of the Cromwell's. Cromwell was the commander-in-chief in England, and he had the ambition. I think he took over the British Empire by, I don't get the whole history now. Anyhow, he was on the verge of taking over the kingdom, the English kingdom. Then what happened? A small little grain of sand in his kidney stone. And that is a small little grain of sand or stone in the kidney of Cromwell. That changed again the history. It may look funny, all these examples, but it is only, the examples are given only to convey the message, the importance of the importance of the contingent. What we normally take as unimportant, they are not unimportant, they are all important. The importance of the contingent. He also explains the human contingency in terms of the human being engulfed from either side. That means human being is from both sides, is engulfed from both sides. I try to show it on the board. To both sides, it is widening out. I am between the past and the future. Microscope and telescope. So here, what is microscope and telescope? The difference between microscope and telescope. Microscope is to see the smallest things which you cannot see with our naked eye. Microscope. And then on the other hand, telescope is for what? Large objects, faraway objects. So we can find the telescope is taking to the one direction of the largeness. Microscope is taking us to the smallest and smallest and smallest. Human being is engulfed in between the two. Regarding past and the future, indefinite past. What am I occupying? I am only occupying a few years, a little stretch of time. And the indefinite future in the ahead of me. I am just in between, swallowed up, pressed between the past and the future. Between the microscope, the small, I'm not totally small, I am in between the microscope, not small, but not large. So that is the finitude, or this whole symbolic, poetic way of expressing the point you want to speak about. The way he expresses, showing the contingent character of human being in these terms. Entered from either side, microscope and telescope. Microscope in terms of seeing the smallest and smallest, telescope in terms of seeing the wide, largest and farthest, the past and the future. The tone of his thinking is evidently existentialist. In the above given trends and figures, we can clearly trace the roots of existentialism, and gradually it grew into a big tree in the 20th century. So we can find the trace when you go by. Started with the small streams, but then it became a big river in the 20th century. But then it has not come about all on a sudden. It started as small trend of thought in the Old Testament, small expressions used by some of the thinkers, but then slowly it was growing, maybe underground, because of the influence of the Western, maybe Greek thought. It was silent. This thought was silenced. In the 20th century, it made a kind of sudden appearance. Not sudden appearance means, I'm not saying that there are no roots. Roots were there, but then it came out all in burst out in the form of a philosophical school or philosophical trend. That is existentialism.